Perseverance in faith. Hope transforms pain from tomb to enduring journey.
And let our pain become a tomb versus a womb. And I think the real reason is because we have misplaced hope. Hebrews 12:2 literally says this. It says, Jesus endured because he was strong. It says he endured. Let's actually just go to it. Hebrews 12:2. I want you to see it. Why did he endure? Why did Jesus endure? Hebrews 12:2. And he says this, 12:2. Therefore, I love this part. I'm actually going to read from verse 1. Therefore, since we have such a large crowd of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every hindrance and sin that so easily ensnares us. Let us run with endurance the race that lies before us, keeping our eyes on what? Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. Okay, so Jesus is actually doing the work if we allow him to. But then he says this. It says, for the joy that lay before him, he endured the cross. For the joy that laid before him, he endured the cross. If your hope is comfort, pain feels like betrayal. If your hope is control, then pain feels like chaos. If your hope is success, then pain feels like failure. If our hope is in anything other than Christ and Christ alone before us and his mission of what he has called, then all pain throws you into a tomb. Think about that for a second. You ever been on a date that didn't go well? Halfway through, it was more of an argument. Or you're with family and you're like, this is not how I thought this day was going to go. And ever been there? You have a thought in your mind of how the day is supposed to go, and halfway through it's like, yep, that didn't work. Because our hope was in something of what was going to happen during that time frame. Our hope isn't in tomorrow or the relationship beyond. Our hope is just in, I hope this is good. And when that fails and pain comes, all of a sudden, well, this is worthless. I remember I used to hate being told I was wrong. Well, I still don't like it, but different now. But my wife would tell me, Jeff, we got to talk about this. And this is what was, when she said this initially, like this is like back when I was 18, you were 17. Yeah, we've been along together a couple of years. And she'd be like, Jeff, I got to talk to you. And this is what would go on in my mind. I kid you not. Oh, our relationship's over. Immediately. It wasn't even like she just wants to talk to me. I literally, if there was anything wrong, just the slightest thing, the slightest amount of pain, emotional pain, I would be like, man, I can't even do anything right. And everything was inward, and everything was about me, and everything was just like, oh, I'm done with this anyways. I break up with you before you break up with me. Why? Because the hope was in the immediacy. The hope was not in what God has for our life. If it is true, which it is, by the way, but if it is true that our life is but a, fill in the blank, vapor, we are here today and gone tomorrow. If it is true that we are citizens of a what? Different kingdom, a heavenly kingdom. If it is true that we are only sojourners or journeymen or people passing through this earth, then what is our hope in? If that is, by the way, it's true. So if that is true, do we actually live that way and allow this perseverance to take hold and pull us through like you're behind a horse? Perseverance is not willpower. It is sustained by what you believe in. Think about this. Perseverance is not how well you can get through. Perseverance is having faith in the one who can get you through. And so if I have hope and I have faith in who God is and what he did and the word that he is giving me, I can get through anything. Do you see that? It doesn't matter, it does not matter what comes in front of you. It does not matter what situation you find yourself in. If our hope is truly in Jesus, then it does not matter what is taking place right now. Why? Because God does this for a reason. We have a lot of really smart people in this world with a lowercase s. See, God comes to save the world in a way that offends both our pride and our fear. He comes into our life, and if you go to Luke 2, it's hilarious, because Luke 2 literally dismantles the reality of what we think would be a great way to enter and conquer a realm. I'll just read it for you. It says, in those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that the whole empire should be registered. The first registration took place while Quirinius was governing Syria. So everyone went to be registered, each to his own town. Joseph also went up from the town to Nazareth in Galilee in Judea, in the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house of and family line of David, to be registered along with Mary, who was engaged to him and was pregnant. While they were there, the time came for her to give birth. Then she gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in tightly cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was what? And here's the crazy thing, is that God will take you to places where there's not going to be room for you. What do I mean by that? God will take you to places, and it will look like there's not enough provision, but he's really refining you to drive us deeper so that he can show his power and glory through that situation. What do I mean by that? There was a beggar at the temple when there was Peter and John came into the temple to pray. And he says, oh, I need a miracle, help me. And what do they say? Silver and gold I have none, but what I do have, I give to you freely. There's a reality in which Jesus wants to do things supernaturally and contrary to the way the world does things. He does not come in political power. There's no cultural influence, and there's no visible success. It is a baby in a place where there's no room for that baby, in a dirty, filthy location with animals. Why? Because salvation comes through, if salvation came through strength, then only the strong would be saved. And if you look at some of the greatest people in Christendom, they were weak people by human standards. God uses people. Look at Moses. Moses had a stutter, and he calls him to be the biggest mouthpiece for Israel, for the Hebrew people. You look at people all through history, and God uses foolish people to confound the wise. Why is that? Because God rejects pride, and he what? He gives grace to the humble. And what does pain do to our life? I don't know about you. It produces humility in me. Why? Because it refines us down. It shows you that you're not Superman. It shows you that you can't push through this anymore. But God, you can get me through. All throughout history, God uses really bad situations to redeem people. He brings them all the way to the brink of something that is disastrous, and then he makes a way out.